The sun was hot over the alien marketplace. Traders shouted, machines buzzed, and strange creatures walked in every direction. Among them walked a human man named Elias. He was a traveler, selling tools and parts. He had been on many planets, but this one felt sad. Elias stopped at a stall to check his scanner. As he looked through a box of wires, he heard something, so soft it was almost lost in the noise. "Please, adopt us." He turned quickly. No one was near. Then he heard it again. "Please, adopt us, be my mate." He followed the voice. It came from behind a broken wall next to a pile of crates. Carefully, Elias moved closer, and then he saw her. An alien woman sat on the ground, her arms around two small children. Her clothes were torn, her skin, faint purple, was dirty, and her eyes were full of tears. The children were even thinner than she was. Their eyes looked empty, as if they hadn't eaten in days. Elias stepped back in shock. Did you just ask me to adopt you?" She nodded. "Yes, human, take my children, take me, we don't want to die." He looked around. People were watching now, but no one was helping. "Why me?" Elias asked quietly. "Because you stopped. Because you heard me. Others only look. You listened." The little boy beside her coughed. A weak, dry sound. Elias looked at the bones under his skin. His heart squeezed. "I don't even know you," he said, confused. "I can't." You don't need to know my name," the woman said. "You only need to know. We have no one." Something about her voice was deep, not just sad. It was the sound of someone who had lost everything and had no pride left to protect. Elias hesitated. The market guards walked by. One of them stopped, looked at the woman, then spat on the ground. "Still alive?" and he said, "Should have starved days ago." The guard walked away, laughing with another. Elias felt fire in his chest. He bent down. "Come with me." The alien woman looked up. "Truly," he nodded, "but not here. We'll talk later." He helped her stand. The children could barely walk, but Elias carried the younger one. The girl clung to his shirt with tiny fingers. People stared. Some whispered, but no one stopped them. Elias brought them to a small room he had rented behind the metal workshop. It wasn't much, a bed, a heater, some clean water, but it was safe. The alien woman sat on the floor, holding her children. "What's your name?" Elias asked. She stayed silent for a moment, then softly said, "Vera." Elias handed her a food packet. "Eat. Give some to the kids first." Tears slipped from her eyes, but she didn't speak. She opened the packet and broke it into pieces, feeding her children before taking a bite herself. Her hands shook. "Thank you," she whispered. Elias watched. He didn't speak. His mind was racing. Who was she? Why did she beg for adoption and marriage? Was it just hunger, or was there something more? He noticed her back as she turned. There was a strange symbol burned into her skin, a circle with jagged lines. He had seen it before on old warning signs. He frowned. "That mark, what is it?" Vera quickly pulled her cloth over it. "Nothing. It's old. A lie from the past." Elias knew that wasn't true, but he didn't push. Not yet. As the children finished eating, they lay down beside their mother and slept, like they hadn't rested in weeks. Vera looked up. "I know I asked something strange, but I meant it. If you leave us tomorrow, I understand. But today, you saved us." Elias sat down, tired. "I didn't plan for any of this. I just came to trade parts now. Now I don't know what's happening." "You listened," she said again, softer now. "That's more than anyone else has done in years." Outside, the market lights dimmed. Night was falling. But inside that small room, for the first time, in a long time, someone had found warmth, and someone else had found purpose. Elias looked at the sleeping children, then at Vera. He didn't say anything more, but deep inside, he knew this wasn't over. He had stepped into something bigger than hunger, something dangerous, and it had only just begun. Elias couldn't sleep. The small room was quiet, except for the soft breathing of the alien children. Vera lay curled on the floor beside them, her arms around both. She looked peaceful now, but Elias couldn't stop thinking. That burned symbol on her back, her strange words, the desperation in her voice. He stepped outside for air. The metal streets of the alien city were cold now. Neon signs flickered. Somewhere far away, something howled. When he returned, he found Vera awake, staring at him with tired eyes. "You couldn't sleep?" she asked softly. "No," he replied. "Too many questions." She sat up. Her long dark hair fell over her shoulders, messy but beautiful. She nodded. "Ask them." Elias hesitated, then said, "You told me to adopt your children and marry you. That's not normal, Vera." She looked down. "I know. Tell me why." She held her breath for a moment, then began to speak. "I was born in the Eastern Valley, where the blue rivers flow. My people were simple. Farmers, builders, singers. I married a brave man named Oro. We had 2 children. He died in the border wars, fighting for food." Elias sat on the floor, listening closely. "After Oro's death, things changed. My village called me cursed. They said a widow brings bad luck. They marked me." She paused. "That symbol is a punishment." "Why? What does it mean?" Elias asked. Vera touched her back. "It means I'm unfit to live in the village, unfit to raise children. They believe I carry death." "That's insane." "Maybe. But they believed it. So they threw us out. I begged, I cried. But they told me if I came back, they'd kill me." Elias clenched his fists. "You've been running since then?" "Yes," Vera said. "I moved from one place to another, worked for scraps, slept in alleyways. My children grew weak. I stole food. Once, I begged an old man for bread. He spat on me, said I should sell the girl instead." Elias's face went red with anger. "That's horrible." "I was ready to give up," Vera whispered. "But then, I saw you. I watched you from the alley. You helped a child pick up his fallen fruit. You smiled at him. I thought, maybe this human will listen." Elias said nothing. His heart felt heavy. "I had nothing to offer you." Vera continued. "No dowry, no family, no honor. Just 2 starving children, and a body that hasn't known rest in years." Elias looked at her. "You don't need to offer anything. You didn't deserve what happened to you." She gave a small smile. "That's kind, but in my world, kindness doesn't feed children. That's why I asked you, out loud, shamelessly, because we had no more time." Elias rubbed his face. "You don't even know me." "I know enough," she said. "You carried my son. You shared your food. You didn't look at me like I was filth." There was silence again. Then Elias asked, "Do you want to stay with me?" Vera blinked. "Truly?" "For now," Elias said. "You and the kids. I can't promise anything forever, but I won't leave you hungry, not while I breathe." Vera looked at her children, then at him. Her eyes filled with tears again, but this time, they didn't fall from pain. "Then I accept," she said. "Not just for me, but for them." Just then, a sharp knock hit the door. Elias stood quickly. "Who is it?" No answer. He opened the door carefully and found a piece of paper nailed to the wall. It was written in the local language. Vera took one look and gasped. "What is it?" Elias asked. "They know I'm here," she whispered. "The city elders. They've sent a warning." "What kind of warning?" "They say if I don't leave in 2 days, they'll take my children by force and punish you for hiding me." Elias stepped outside and looked around. The alley was empty, but his skin crawled. He returned inside. "Lock the door." "Then we don't wait," he said. "We get ready." Vera looked at him with wide eyes. "You would fight for us?" I already am. And just like that, something unspoken passed between them. Not love. Not yet. But loyalty. And hope. That night, the city felt colder. Elias stood by the window, staring out at the empty street. The flickering lights cast long shadows on the walls. Somewhere, far off, something growled. Vera sat quietly, wrapping her children in a blanket on the floor. She had barely spoken since reading the warning. Her eyes kept darting toward the door. "They'll come," she said at last. "They always come at night." Elias turned to her. "Who are they?" She didn't answer right away. Then she whispered, "Collectors. They work for the elders. They take what doesn't belong to the city. Unwanted things. Like me. Like my children." Elias frowned. "Are they soldiers?" "No," she said. "Worse. They don't wear uniforms. They wear silence. You never hear them coming. You only feel them." Suddenly, the room's heater buzzed loudly. Vera flinched. Elias checked his tool bag. He had only a few supplies. A pocket knife, a small welding torch, a broken plasma pistol with half a charge. Not enough. But he wasn't going to give up. He placed a chair under the door handle, then dragged crates in front of the windows. "We're not running," he said. "Not again." Vera looked at him. "You don't know what they'll do to you." "I don't care," Elias said. "They want the kids? They'll have to come through me." The children were asleep now, but even in sleep, they looked scared, tiny bodies curled up like they were still hiding. Then, there was a knock, not loud, just one soft tap. Vera's breath stopped. Her hands gripped Elias's arm. He stepped forward, careful. "Who is it?" Silence. Another knock. Tap. Tap. Elias drew his pocket knife and moved to the door. He didn't open it, but looked through the small glass slit. Nothing. He opened the door fast, ready to strike, but there was no one, only a dark, empty street, and a mark drawn in ash on the wall across from them. Vera gasped. "That's their sign," she said. "They're watching." Elias stared at it. A circle with 2 slashes through it. It wasn't there before. "They won't strike tonight," she said. "They wait. Let fear eat you first." Elias shut the door. "Then we won't wait either." He opened his tool bag and took out some wires and sensors. "I'm building alarms. If they step near this room, we'll know." Vera moved closer, eyes wide. "Can that stop them?" "Maybe not," Elias said. "But it'll slow them down. That might be enough." All night he worked. He wired the windows, set a shock trap at the door. He even used metal pans to create noise alarms. Vera sat close, watching every move. "You're not like the others," she whispered. "I'm not a hero," Elias said. "Just tired of seeing good people treated like trash." By morning, the traps were ready. But Elias knew something else. If the collectors were watching, they would test him. And they did. Just before dawn, the sensors buzzed. Elias grabbed the pistol and ran to the window. A figure moved in the shadows. Fast, low, almost crawling. It reached the wall, then stepped on a hidden wire. Snap. A loud alarm rang. Sparks flew. The figure screamed, a sound too high to be human, and vanished into the shadows. Elias didn't sleep after that. Neither did Vera. The next night was worse. More signs appeared. Chalk marks on the walls, strange symbols drawn near the alley, and one word scratched into the metal door. "Traitor." Vera touched it with shaking fingers. "They're warning you now." Elias nodded. "Good. That means they're afraid." But inside, his chest was tight. He couldn't win a full fight. If they came in numbers, he wouldn't survive. He had to find another way. "Vera," he said, "is there anyone who'd help? You? Anyone who still believes in your family?" She looked down. "Only one, an old elder who once fought beside my husband. But he lives on the other side of the city. He's sick and afraid." "Can we reach him?" She hesitated. "Not alone." Then we don't go alone, Elias said. We go together. She blinked. With the children? He nodded. We'll hide in plain sight, disguise you, make it look like you're traveling with me as refugees. I'll wear a trader's coat, carry parts, and you, a mother asking for work. Vera gave a small, nervous smile. You really think it will work? Elias picked up the youngest child, who was waking with sleepy eyes. It has to, he said, or they'll take everything. The disguise worked for a while. Elias pushed an old hover cart through the streets. Wires, scrap metal, and broken parts filled the cart. Behind him walked Vera, wrapped in a gray cloak, her head bowed. She held her daughter's hand. The boy walked beside Elias, quiet and pale. To anyone watching, they looked like a poor trading family, tired, dirty, harmless. No one stopped them, but Elias felt the eyes. From the rooftops, the shadows, the narrow alleyways. The collectors were close, watching, waiting. They were almost near the safe zone, the older district where Vera's friend lived. Just 5 more blocks. That's when it happened. A sudden screech ripped through the air. Metal cracked behind them. Elias spun around. 3 shadowy figures leapt from a rooftop. Their faces were hidden behind dark masks. No armor, no voices, just weapons in hand and fast feet on the ground. Run! Elias shouted. He grabbed the boy and shoved the cart over. Metal parts spilled across the street, blocking the way. Vera pulled her daughter and ran, but the ground was slippery. The girl fell. One of the attackers rushed forward, claws out. Elias didn't think. He threw his body in front of them, slamming the attacker back with his shoulder. They crashed into the wall. Pain exploded in his arm, but he got up. He pulled the broken plasma pistol from his belt and fired. A weak blue blast hit the second attacker's leg. The alien hissed and dropped. The third came from behind. Vera screamed. Elias turned too slow. The attacker grabbed him by the neck and slammed him down. Stars burst behind his eyes. The pistol dropped. He couldn't breathe. The attacker raised a blade, but Vera was already moving. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She jumped on the attacker's back and slammed a metal pipe into his head, again and again. The collector fell. Elias gasped for air, coughing on the ground. The children were crying now. More shadows moved on the rooftops. Elias struggled to his feet. We can't stay. Move. He grabbed the pistol, scooped up the girl, and ran. Vera held her son tightly and followed. Blood dripped from Elias's nose. His shoulder burned, but he kept running. They darted into a tight alley, through a broken gate, and into a tunnel under the street. Only silence followed. They waited and waited. No one came. Vera was shaking. The children sobbed into her chest. Elias sat down, breathing hard. They're not used to being hurt, he said. That's why they backed off. Vera looked at him. You fought for us. You got hurt, yeah, for us. He smiled through the pain. I said I would. She reached out and touched the bruise on his face. You didn't have to mean it. I did. She lowered her eyes. No one's ever done that for me before. The tunnel was dark, cold, but for a moment it felt like the safest place in the world. Elias leaned his head back and whispered, We'll rest here a bit, then finish the journey. Vera nodded. She cleaned his wounds using a torn piece of cloth. Her hands were gentle. Her touch was warm. The children slowly fell asleep against his side. You are not just a traitor, she said. No, Elias replied. And you're not just a widow. They looked at each other, and in that moment, even in a dark, stinking tunnel under a cruel city, there was peace. But only for a short time, because above them, the collectors were regrouping, and next time, they wouldn't come in threes. They'd come in full numbers. The tunnel was damp and cold, but Elias didn't feel it. Pain pulsed through his body. His left shoulder was purple and dried blood stuck to the side of his head. Every breath felt like fire, but he didn't complain. The children were sleeping. One curled against his leg, the other wrapped in Vera's arms. She had barely moved since they stopped, but now, as the silence deepened, she slowly pulled out a small pouch hidden beneath her robes. "What's that?" Elias asked, his voice weak. "Healing roots," Vera said softly. "Rare. I saved them for my children, but I need you alive." He smiled faintly. "That's comforting." She didn't smile back. Instead, she crushed the herbs into paste with a smooth stone, added water from a canister, and gently touched it to his bruised skin. The pain made him flinch, but her fingers were steady. "This will burn," she warned. "It already does." She placed her hand on his chest. "You bled for children who are not yours. Why?" Elias looked at her, his eyes tired but clear. "Because they could be mine. Because no child should live in fear. Because you asked." "You're not from this world," she whispered. "No," he said, "but some things don't need translation." Vera worked quietly. As she dabbed the healing mixture on his wounds, her hands began to shake. "I watched them beat you," she said. "I thought you would die, and I realized I didn't want to be alone again." Tears slipped down her face. "I promised myself I wouldn't cry in front of strangers anymore. But you," her voice broke, "you're not a stranger now." Elias wanted to say something, but he couldn't. His throat closed. Her tears were not weak. They were heavy, full of years of silence and pain. She wiped her eyes quickly and looked away. "Sorry," she said. "I cry too much." He shook his head. "No, you don't cry enough." She looked at him again, confused. "You've carried this alone for too long," Elias said. "You were made to feel like a burden, like your life didn't matter." "But it does, Vera. You and your children matter." Her lips trembled. For a moment she stared at the man before her, bruised, bleeding, exhausted, and she saw someone who didn't see her as broken. Not a curse, not unwanted, just a woman, a mother, a soul worth saving. Then, for the first time in many years, she spoke her truth. "I begged the gods not to take my children. I slept in mud, sold my hair, walked through acid storms just to keep them alive. I thought no one would ever help me again. I thought I would die in silence." Elias leaned forward slowly. "Not anymore." A long pause. Then she whispered, "I'm scared." "I am too." They sat together, quiet. She pressed another cloth against his chest. Her hands moved more slowly now, more gently. "I didn't just cry because you were hurt," she admitted. "I cried because you made me believe again." "Believe in what?" She looked down at her daughter's sleeping face, then at Elias. "In people, in kindness." Elias touched her hand. It was warm, and it didn't pull away. Later, as the children slept deeper, and Elias rested against the tunnel wall, Vera took the last of the roots and crushed them with care, not for her, not for the kids, but for the man who bled for them. She spread the final bit over his chest wound and whispered a prayer in her native tongue. He didn't understand the words, but he felt them. Words like hope, like trust, like healing. Up above, the collectors searched. They hissed and cursed and followed broken blood trails. But they were losing time. Because Vera, the widow they thought was weak, now had someone beside her, someone who would fight, and she wasn't running anymore. By morning, Elias could walk again. Barely. The healing roots had worked, but his body was still sore. Every step hurt. His vision blurred now and then. But he kept moving. Vera walked beside him. Her face was calm, but her hand clutched his arm, tightly. The children held onto her robes, sleepy but quiet. The tunnel led them to the old district. It was quieter here. No flashing lights, no hover bikes or street vendors. Just stone walls, moss-covered bricks, and ancient symbols carved into doors. Vera stopped in front of a large gate. "This is it," she said. "The elder lives here." Elias nodded. "Let's hope he still remembers your husband." They knocked. The door creaked open, and a thin, elderly alien stood there. His body was weak, but his eyes were sharp. "Vera," he said softly. She bowed. "Elder Taman, I need your help." His eyes shifted to Elias, then to the children. "You brought strangers." "I brought the only man who stood between my children and death." Taman opened the door wider. "Come inside." The elder's home was full of scrolls and dusty machines. He offered them tea and sat in a chair made of polished bone. "I remember Oro," he said. "He was brave. He died protecting our river, lands. You were cast out after he died, weren't you?" "Yes," Vera said. "They said I carried misfortune." "And now?" he asked. "They sent collectors after me, after my children. But this man, Elias, he protected us." Taman turned to Elias. "You are a human. Why risk your life for aliens not of your blood?" Elias didn't hesitate, because blood doesn't decide who deserves help. Mercy does. The elder stared at him for a long time. Then he sighed. "I believe you. But believing isn't enough. The city council has issued a public decree. They want Vera and her children. And you, outsider, are now guilty of emotional interference." Elias frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means they think you're manipulating her for your own gain." "That's a lie." The elder raised his hand. "I know, but the council doesn't care about truth. They only care about order. And Vera's presence breaks their rules." Elias stood. "Then take me to them. Let me speak." Taman looked surprised. "You would face the council?" "I didn't bleed in the street just to hide forever," Elias said. "I'll stand for them. I'll say the truth in front of everyone." Vera's eyes widened. "They'll threaten you. Maybe worse." "I don't care," Elias said. "If I don't speak, they'll take you anyway." Taman slowly nodded. "Then I will take you. But be warned. Once you stand before them, there is no turning back." The council hall was tall and cold. 12 alien figures sat in a half-circle wearing robes of silver and black. Their eyes glowed faintly and their voices echoed even when they whispered. Elias, Vera, the children, and Elder Taman stood in the center. "State your purpose," one counselor demanded. Elias stepped forward. "My name is Elias. I'm human. I found Vera and her children starving, homeless, and hunted. I gave them food, shelter, and safety. Now you call me a criminal?" Another counselor leaned forward. "She is marked. Her exile is final. You interfered." Elias nodded. "Yes, I interfered because you were wrong to abandon her. You left 2 innocent children to starve. If that's a crime, then I'm guilty." The hall fell silent. A third counselor spoke. "You ask us to reverse the exile?" "No," Elias said. "I ask for something stronger. I want full guardianship of the children. And if it keeps them safe, I will take Vera as my mate. By your law." Gasps echoed in the chamber. Vera's eyes filled with tears. The head counselor spoke slowly. "You understand what you're asking? She will belong to your household. Her shame becomes yours." Elias looked at her. "She's not shame. She's strength." Vera stepped forward, her voice clear. "I accept, not for safety, not for food, but because this man gave me something none of you ever did, dignity," the council whispered among themselves. After a long moment, the head counselor stood. "Very well. By ancient law, the outsider may claim guardianship and bond. The mark will be ignored under oath. You are now one family." Vera fell to her knees, shaking. The children hugged her. Elias just stood there, silent, stunned, but deep in his heart, he knew. This wasn't just a promise to protect. This was a new beginning. 3 days had passed since the council's judgment. The air in the city felt different now. The watchers in the shadows had vanished. No more chalk symbols. No more soft knocks in the dark. The collectors had been called back. Elias, once a nameless traveler, now had a place. And Vera, once marked, hunted, and silenced, walked freely beside him. Still, something felt unfinished. That night, Elias found her standing in the courtyard of Elder Taman's house. The children were asleep inside. A soft wind moved through her cloak. "You're awake again," he said. "I can't sleep," she replied. "Not yet." He stepped beside her. "Are you afraid they'll return?" She shook her head. "No, not anymore." "Then what is it?" She looked at the stars above. "For years I carried one wish in my heart," she whispered. "Not for safety, not for comfort. I just wanted someone to say, 'You and your children deserve to live.' That was all." Elias didn't speak. He just listened. "You gave me that," she said. "Even before the council, before the shelter. You looked at me like I was worth saving." "You were," he said softly. Vera turned toward him. Her eyes weren't full of fear anymore. They held something else now, something warm, something real. "My husband died protecting others. I never thought I'd meet someone who'd do the same. But then you came. A stranger. And you fought like we were already yours." Elias smiled. "Maybe you were." She stepped closer. "The council calls me your mate now, but I haven't asked you how you feel." "I feel," he said, "like this never started with duty. Not really. It started with a voice behind a market wall, a whisper that broke something inside me and built something stronger." Vera's voice cracked. "Do you regret it?" He shook his head. "No. I only regret not finding you sooner." She reached for his hand. He took it without hesitation. Then she said something that made his chest tighten. "Can I give you something now?" "You don't have to," he replied. "I want to." She looked into his eyes. "A new name. In my people's tradition, only mates can give it. Something from the soul." He nodded, heart pounding. She placed her hand on his chest. "I name you Kaloran. It means the one who stands in storms, the one who shields." Elias blinked. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," she said. "Just be." The next morning, the people of the old district came to Elder Taman's courtyard. They brought food, tools, cloth. A gift for the new family. Vera's head was held high as she stood with Elias and the children. One woman from the crowd spoke. "We were wrong about you, widow." Vera didn't respond in anger. She only said, "I was never weak. You just refused to see." And they nodded. Even in silence, she had won. That evening, they moved into a small house near the outer fields, a quiet place. Enough room for 2 children to laugh and run. Enough room for Elias to rebuild old machines. Enough room to breathe. As he placed the last piece of furniture down, he turned to Vera. "You once made a wish," he said. "Was it fulfilled?" She looked around at the house, at the children, playing, at him. "No," she said. He froze. Then she smiled. It was surpassed, and with that, she walked into their home. No longer a widow, no longer a beggar, but a woman with a future, beside the man who gave her everything she thought she'd lost.